Hi, welcome to the final part of our conversation with Steve. We've journeyed with him from diagnosis to acceptance, and from acceptance to achievement, to Paralympic triumph. Now, we want to turn into the future, the lessons Steve has learned along the way, and how he continues to live with faith, hope, and resilience. This episode is about legacy, it's about courage, and the wisdom that comes from life's toughest mountains, literally and metaphorically. Let's go to this final lap of conversations with Steve. Let's have this chat. So, do you want to take the first question?
Yeah, okay, mate. I guess a lot of talk about resilience and hope. Where did you find the motivation? Like on those days that we just spoke about, where you're taking 2 steps backwards, 1 step forwards, 3 steps backwards, and that kind of that recovery that you went through. Where did the where did the motivation come from for to go through that day in, day out? And certainly on those days where you had setbacks, like you said, just getting your hands to your chest, you started to think about, maybe I just have to live with this now. It's like, where does that motivation come from to get your hands to your chest, to carry on fighting that, that kind of that urge to get all your movement back and to have the life that you want to live?
That's a big one. So the motivation came in 2 forms. There's the internal side and there's the external side. So I'll speak a bit on the external before I go into the internal. So the external are the people around me, right? I'd have people who encourage me and say, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. One of them is the physiotherapist, my friends, my mother, my parents. There was one time one of my aunties.
Sorry, am I right in thinking your mother's a physiotherapist?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Someone has been doing their research.
Oh, well, we had a chat earlier.
But one of the encouragement came from that one of the external ones was my auntie. And so with burns, it somehow affects your mobility and flexibility.
Mhm.
And that was why I struggled to do very basic tasks. So the challenges to that was the fact that sometimes the movement can't be made. And then there's also the pain barrier.
Mhm.
And I remember my auntie coming to visit me one day, and she is a pharmacist. She's not a medical, well, pharmacists are still in the medical personnel, but she's not somebody who deals with patients directly.
Mhm.
She's more with the medication side. And she was on her way to visit me in the afternoon. She walked in and said, "Hey, you need to take your physio serious, because I've just seen someone, an outpatient, who came in for clinic, and his leg is bent and it's locked in that position." I'd been told several times by the physiotherapists of the risk of contractures, which is more of like, if your hand gets in this position, it stays there and gets locked. And that means you need to go into surgery again, and they'll knock it with a hammer to straighten it.
Yeah.
So she was like, "I've seen one. It's real what they tell you.
Mhm.
That risk is real. It's not a joke.
Yeah.
So, hey, get things straight. Put the work
Wow.
in and move on." fight through it.
Yeah.
There's this same statement as well, which I've said it a couple of times. We say it abakbake, which means this will end.
Mm-hmm.
And so every time I had a struggle, I would say abakbake. At a certain point, I'd said it so many times that it felt like it was just a saying. It felt like it was just words I was uttering. But thinking through it now, I realized because I'd said it so many times, I had internalized it to a point that I saw my challenges and difficulties and the setbacks as temporary
Mm-hmm.
and not permanent.
Mm.
And that's what kept me going. That, yeah, this is a challenge, but it's not going to be here forever.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
will outlive that challenge. Of course, there was also the sense of urgency to do certain things. Like I said, I had a funeral to attend. And whilst I was in the ICU, I felt there was more I had to give to the world. I felt I wasn't ready yet to die. So I was in a state where it was more like, yeah, these are the things in my way. I need to clear these hurdles and move on. So for me, it was like a hurdle race where you race a bit, you get in front of the hurdle and jump it. But that doesn't mean it's the end of the obstacles. You race a bit, another one comes up. So one of the things, and this is more of the internal side of it for me, where I saw them as hurdles that I had to jump over and move to where I wanted to get to. And it's sort of something that carries me on these days that, yeah, it's an obstacle.
Mm.
It's not the end of the road.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can still achieve what I want to achieve. So I'll
Mm-hmm.
just jump over it and keep going on in my race.
Mm.
And so it was more the fact that I saw my obstacles as temporary. I saw the challenges, the setbacks as just momentary lapses, and I didn't
Mm.
see them as my sentence.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And I
finite.
looked forward to saying, there's something better than this. This is not the end of me. It's a refusal to accept
Mm.
that I'm going to be bedridden for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. The hurdles is a good analogy, and it's very, very similar to cycling and racing, right? It hurts. The lactate in your legs burns. It's horrible, but it won't last forever, and even for the longer races I've done, like, where you're riding through the night. So you're on your bike for 24 hours and you ride, you're riding through the day, and then at night comes and then you see the sunrise and you've not got off your bike. Um, and always about that time, about 3 to 4 in the morning, is horrible because you start seeing shadows and you start thinking to yourself, well, everyone else is in bed, you idiot. You're meant to be in bed now. This is horrible. And it always is horrible. And, but it's always that same thing. It's like, but dawn will come, the light will come. And then it's like you're brand new, it's amazing. It's like, it's a whole new day. So you reset and you go again. But yeah, it's great advice that for anyone who's struggling is this won't last forever. And if you're willing to, work through it, you'll come out the other side of it. It's just it's just that you're just having to learn a lesson at this time, but that lesson will be invaluable when you get to the other side of it.
Now, I'll make the statement and you will have to explain it to us. Again, this is from your website. It
Mhm.
says, the reason I'm telling you this is not because I want your sympathy. I'm telling you this because I've learned a couple of lessons which have changed my life massively for the better. And I want to share these lessons with you. So please share these lessons with us. We've made it clear, you've made it clear, and I totally agree. It's not about sympathy. I'm also having this conversation with you, not because of sympathy,
Mm.
not because I want you to have sympathy for me, or because I want anyone else who is listening for us to have sympathy for us. So please, we're all ears to hearing your lessons.
We are all ears. Well, I think from memory, one of those is life is short, right? So like I've said, don't dream about doing the things you want to do. Do them now. Don't be a dreamer, be a doer. Just like you said, Pia, be a doer. And I think it took me a long time to realize that, and the eye diagnosis certainly taught me that, is if you want to achieve something, you have to start and you have to do. So I think that is the that's probably the first and probably the most important lesson I've learned, is you've got to start to achieve. And I think the other one is probably almost anything is achievable if you're willing to put in the work to achieve it. And like I said earlier, I'm no talented sportsman. I'm no amazing gifted person. I've just set a goal and invested everything to try and achieve that goal. And and I can talk about climbing El Cap and Paralympic medals, but there's plenty of things in life that I haven't succeeded at. Like I was terrible at school. I don't have any qualifications in terms of the school qualifications. So I'm not some guy that is just like, I'm great at everything that I try and do. But yeah, I think those are the two biggest lessons, really. It's like if you work really hard, you can achieve what almost everything you want. But to do that, you have to start, right? You have to start today. Don't put it off till tomorrow. We don't know what tomorrow is. Like, so today is now. Tomorrow's a given. But yeah, it's hey, I mean, you're a great example of how how close you came to not having a tomorrow, and and look at the impact you've had since then. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, but that's given me a question for you, actually.
Well, maybe I shouldn't have asked that question.
Well, I really like this. I really like this question, but if you could go back to that day in your kitchen, would you change the outcome of what happened to you? Would you, if you had the chance, would you not turn on the gas cooker that day?
Oh, if I had the chance, would I not turn on the gas cooker that day?
Knowing
Okay, so I'll
what
give
you
you two
know now,
answers.
yeah, knowing what you know now, if you could go back, would you not turn that cooker on?
I'll give you a two-layered answer. As we speak today, in 2026, with what I know now, yeah, if I'd gone to the kitchen that day, I'll still have fired up the gas cylinder. As we speak today,
Mm-hmm.
if you had asked me that same question in September 2020, yes, I wouldn't have turned on the gas. I wouldn't have turned on that gas cooker. And mind you, I had the accident in August 2020. So if you had asked me in September, which was just about a month after the accident, no, I wouldn't have turned on that gas stove.
Yeah.
But almost 6 years down the line, any day, I'll fire up that gas cylinder.
Isn't I find that is exactly what I thought you would say, which is part of the reason why I asked the question. But isn't that amazing that we can have this incredible conversation, and I can say my eye diagnosis was one of the best things that ever happened to me, and you're saying 6 years on now that you would go back and you'd turn on that gas tank, knowing full well what it was gonna cost you. Incredible,
Without thinking
isn't it?
twice.
And it's, isn't it amazing that two very different situations, yours almost fatal, but the lessons, and at the time you can't see the lessons. And I guess this is my point to all of your listeners going through hard stuff. It's like right now you're not aware of what you're being taught, but it's probably, if you're going through some form of hardship, it's probably profound. It's probably going to shape you in a way that you can't possibly imagine. And it might even open doors that you would never even consider being opened. I went from an eye diagnosis to, shaking hands with the Queen. Yeah, well, yeah, meeting the Queen. It's just like, wow, who, the opportunities. I think we've not really spoken that much about opportunities and taking those opportunities. But when we spoke earlier before this podcast, and you spoke about being an author, and I said, wow, did you ever imagine, in 2020 that, if someone said, oh, Pierre, you're going to be you're going to be the author of a book, you're just like, oh, that's impossible. Like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. I probably thought he was losing his mind.
Yeah,
his
exactly.
Mind.
Yeah. But
probably,
so that
I'll probably be like, I hear that you're probably talking about someone else, not me.
Yeah. So I just think it's it's really lovely, I think, that to have these reflections and, like I say, these conversations, because it makes you realize that how lucky we are to have, what most people wouldn't, you wouldn't wish what happened to either of us on your best friend, but maybe you would. Maybe you would if it, if these are the lessons they're going to learn and the opportunities that they're going to have. It's like, wow, that's, you couldn't write this stuff. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. 6 years on, you would go and turn that tap on again, and without a thought, knowing full well the hardship and everything that it's going to cost you for what it's given you. It's incredible.
And because of this, I get to speak to an MBE. Prior to that, MBEs have just been, I'll just read about that person. He's an MBE and OBE and stuff. But because of this, I get to actually speak with an MBE.
Yeah, well, there we go. Opportunities. There's a great lesson. Is that, like, just grabbing hold of opportunities. Like my mum used to say, you'd never know unless you try. So for you taking the time to reach out and say, hey, Steve, can we have a conversation? It's like we're having this incredible conversation, mate, which I'm super grateful for. I'm loving it.
Yeah.
But all your listeners are probably turned off now because we were talking for so long.
But hang on, there's this question I really need to ask you. So these are your own words. These were not written. You uttered these words in an interview. You said, I like the look on your face. Ready for it. You said your teachers always said in school, if Steve applied himself, he could be as good as his brother. If Steve applied himself, he could be as good as his brother. In light of current events, what would you have to say to that statement? That was said maybe 30 years ago or 20-something years ago?
Oh, probably longer than that, mate. Yeah, it's been a very long time since I've been in school. I would say they're probably 100% correct. I would say they could probably see the potential that I had, although I couldn't see it. So as much as I want to say, no, that's not true, they were wrong, I was right, I think it's probably a fair statement that they were 100% right, and I didn't apply myself when I was in school. I followed through my older brother's, he's only a year older than me, so I followed the year behind him, and he was an exceptional student. Not incredibly gifted or talented, just worked incredibly hard to achieve everything he achieved. But I resented that. I resented the fact he was so good And it's really funny because I have my brother lives in New Zealand, and I have a incredible relationship with my brother. He's an incredible character. He's a father, amazing father, and and what a great role model to have for from such a young age. If that kind of the work ethic, I suppose, that he put in, and that that grafting, that working hard to achieve a goal. He was probably teaching me lessons long before I even knew it. Which is pretty incredible.
That leads me to another question. So, your teachers tried inspiring you.
Hmm.
That didn't work out. Well, no, with everything you've been through now, what would you say to that optician who diagnosed you and said, "Hey, call someone else to drive you home"?
Yeah, well,
I can
Lloyd.
understand if you say you hated him in the first few months, but yeah, what would you say to him now? And actually, have you even met him recently or been in
Yeah, I
touch with
have.
him
Yeah,
or
yeah.
her?
Yeah. So Lloyd is he's an Irishman, and a big rugby fan, and I'm a big rugby fan. So it's been a bit hard the last few years because Ireland have beaten the All Blacks on quite a few occasions. So I've had a few awkward conversations with him, and not about eyesight. Um, but no, I saw Lloyd last year, and he had a look at my eyes again, and no, I've got nothing but admiration and respect for him. He's, I think because I think the thing that he was the one who gave me that diagnosis, and I think like he said at the start, well, like I'm not really sure about this, but we'll get to the bottom of it. So I think it was like I was obviously kind of really worried initially, um, and scared, um, but I felt grateful that there was this professional who was going to get to the bottom of it, so I would understand what I had. And I felt incredibly supported, um, by Lloyd over the years. Um, and he's been a kind of amazing character, and a kind of a great distant friend, really. Um, probably a very similar sort of relationship maybe you have with your physiotherapist. Someone who's helped you through what seen you maybe at your worst, and now seeing you at your best. It's God, what an amazing journey they've been on with you, eh? To see you fully functioning and in great shape these days. Amazing.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of like their pride and joy. Sometimes people don't realize it, especially in my part of the world, but medical personnel, doctors, nurses, physios, even the people who clean the hospital, they also want that patient to do well.
Mm.
And they are excited and elated when they see someone, especially like me, who should have died, who survived. For them, it's fulfillment. It's just like a footballer winning a World Cup and lifting the World Cup trophy, or the mountain climber reaching the summit of El Capitan,
Oh, I
or
mean,
someone doing the seven
it's
summits.
no, it's
They,
I mean, it's way bigger than that, I think, mate. Like that
yeah,
is, it's saving a life, and that's way bigger than sport. That's way bigger than a lot of things, and I've always I've always been very level-headed about what I do. When people say, "Oh, what you do, you've won a gold medal, it's amazing." It's like all I do is ride around in circles. I'm not curing cancer. I'm not saving lives. These people are incredible. When the way the state which you would have turned up into the hospital. I still can't believe you walked into the hospital yourself. That blows my mind. But just the state that you were in, and the state that you left in 145 days later. I mean, they deserve the MBEs, mate, not me. They deserve all the praise. Like they've saved a life, and and look at what that life now gets to share and offer people. Like that's just incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no gold medals for them, and that's
No.
that's a real shame, isn't it? Because they certainly deserve them. Maybe more than a lot of athletes, to be honest. Absolutely. I've got the utmost respect for people who care and look after and fix broken people. It's an amazing job to do.
But there's not another question I have, it's kind of been on my mind for a long time. In 2011, you were told you were going to go blind. In 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
we are 15 years down the line.
Mm.
You still haven't gone blind.
Still haven't gone blind. I'm a lucky man. Yeah, so that was based on a worst case scenario. I guess because everyone's eyesight journey is different. Then it's a kind of a best guess of what they're sort of saying, and I don't know, maybe they want to add, they wanted to kind of add a bit of shock value to it. I don't know whether that's a thing or not, to make me really fully understand what was going on. But it's probably similar to burns victims. It's like they probably couldn't tell you were going to be in hospital for 145 days. It's just that thing. I mean, I'm very fortunate. I'm super grateful. I still have the sight I do. Long may that continue, so I don't cut my fingers off at the table saw. But we'll just take each day as it comes and enjoy it while I can. Really.
Yeah, I can tell you what they thought. They probably didn't think I was going to be there for 145 days. They probably thought I was going to be there a bit shorter than that. And they probably didn't think I was going to leave and go home. They probably thought I
Yeah.
was going to leave and go to the morgue.
Yeah.
Not
Exactly.
not to
Leave it a
say
box. Yeah.
not to say they are bad people,
No,
but
but there's a reality, right?
statistically,
They've seen this time and time again.
yeah,
So, you're one of the few, mate. Which is credit to you, mate. You must have a lot of that grit in you, that pushback. I'm
yeah.
not
I wish I
accepting
could
the
say. I wish
situation.
that it would just be that alone. But and especially with your side of it as well, where you were told it's 4 years worst case, or 15 years down the line, and that's still not the case. As a person of faith, that makes me believe that there is a greater force above there. There's someone higher out there who overrides everything that modern science and the best of professionals can even see. Because in my case as well, there's no medical explanation why I should be alive here. There are various ways of assessing severity of burns. One of the ways says that any burns that covers 15% of the person's total body surface area and above is life-threatening. Another one says that any burns that covers 20% and above is life-threatening. So surely at 39%, irrespective of which scale or method you are using,
Yeah.
everybody agrees
Yeah. You add those two
that
together,
is
you
the
should be
case.
dead. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Then I had inhalational injury, which was affecting my breathing. And hey, if you can't breathe,
You're in
that's the
trouble.
end of the story for you.
Mm.
And again, this was all in the midst of COVID-19 global pandemic. I don't really need to do much explanation on on the
Mm.
COVID-19 global pandemic. But I had all these three factors that individually on their own,
Mm-hmm.
without the help of any other thing, should have taken me to the grave. But here I am again. And some people might say I have defied everything. But as a person of faith, I believe God is the reason I'm alive.
Mm.
You were also told 4 years, worst case, you're gone. You're blind. 15 years down the line, you're here having a discussion with me on a video call.
Mm.
And I'm sure you set up everything yourself. and we still text.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely, mate. I'm not religious in any way, and I think people who are good for them. Like, I've got nothing against people believing, if that's what it takes you to live your life. Fantastic. That's great. Um, but yeah, I mean, I guess I just think I'm lucky. I guess very fortunate and lucky that I'm in the situation that I'm in. Um, and I'm sure one day my luck will run out, but that's okay. I made peace with the going blind thing, so that's all right. You know, that's a whole new adventure. I'll start that adventure when the time comes.
Yeah. Okay, I have another question for you. I'm sure this would excite you.
Oh God.
It's similar to what you've asked me, but there are two forms, but it's the same question. What would you say to anyone who is currently going through any of life's pits? That is, what would you say to anyone who may have lost a loved one? Anyone who may have lost their business? Anyone who may have had a fatal clinical diagnosis like you did? What would you say to that person right now?
Hmm. Well, that's a tough question. Um, Man, I would say your road ahead is unknown, but well worth walking, because it's going to teach you some incredible things that you didn't know about yourself. And on that road, you're going to be presented with some incredible opportunities, and grab those with both hands, and take every opportunity that you can, because you never quite know where it will lead.
Okay. You, I'm sure, I'm sure you're familiar with, time travel, right? We all watch all these movies that have
Hmm.
time travels. I think you
Yep.
know what I'm getting to with this question.
Okay.
We all watch these movies with these time travel, where people travel in time. Knowing what you know now, if you get in a time capsule and go back to 2011
Hmm.
and you are standing by that Steve,
Hmm.
that's the current you, the 2026 Steve, standing by the 2011 speed.
Hmm.
Now, here's where the trick is: not in the hospital, but on that day that you almost hit that old lady on the road,
Hmm.
when you realized you had really lost peripheral vision, what would you say to that Steve? When you left the car and told, was it your wife, to drive? When that reality actually hit you, what will the 2026 Steve say to that 2011 Steve?
I think I'd probably say, strap in for this ride, mate, because you're not going to believe where it's going to take you. I think. Hold on tight, mate. This is going to go a bit crazy. I think.
Buckle up.
Yeah, buckle up, cowboy. This is going to be some rodeo. I think. Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah, I don't think there wouldn't be. I couldn't offer any advice, because like, you've got to live it, right? You've got to go through it all to come out the other side of it. So I wouldn't want to hinder that in any way, to not be in this position that I am in today. So yeah, I think it'd just be a case of, yeah, just like, oh well, you're never going to believe where this is going to go, mate. Trust me, but you'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy it. Um, yeah, I guess that's what I'd probably what I'd tell myself. Yeah.
But quick question for clarity: Did you, prior to that diagnosis, did you ever use glasses, spectacles?
No,
Did you? You never
no,
wore
no,
eyeglasses.
no, no. That was yeah, something that I yeah, never had an issue with. Like I say, you know, the day I got that diagnosis, I was told I had 20/20 vision. And it wasn't until that I brought up about the darkness and the couldn't see my keys if I dropped them on the floor, that's when things took a slight change for the better.
What would you want listeners to take away from our conversation about living with courage?
Um I think to live with courage and be brave, you have to be scared, right? You have to, you know, bravery comes from being scared of something and walking towards, you know, that fear, I think. And I think bravery is on the other side of that fear. Um, so I think sometimes you know, that scary conversation you have to have with a loved one or a friend, or whether that's standing on a start line in a race that you might lose, or whether that's laying in a hospital bed wrapped in bandages, trying to get your hands to your chest. That is, you know, that fear of failure is a horrible thing, but bravery comes on the other side of that. When you make the choice to carry on, to get your hands to your chest and get out of that bed, when you make the choice to believe you can win a race that you maybe have no right to win, or you have that conversation with that person that turns out the best conversation that you could have possibly had in your life. Um, these bravery things often come off the back of hardship and challenge and awkwardness, and I would say to people, have faith that on the other side of that awkwardness you'll find bravery and courage, which will then then you'll build resilience off the back of, and you'll find those things easier and easier to do.
All right, that's all the questions I have for today. Uh, do you have any for me?
Oh, mate, I think what I would like to do is I would like to go away and I'd like to read your book, and then I'd like to come back and ask you I'd pepper you with questions. I can
Okay.
take over this channel of yours, and I can hammer you with questions about yourself, because I think that is yeah, really interesting. Yeah, I don't have any more questions off the top of my head this evening, mate. But I'd love to come back on and having a bit more time
Okay.
and read your book and understand a bit more about you, because you're an incredible man, and I'm incredibly grateful for this conversation, mate. So I'd love it to
Same here.
continue another day if you're up for
I am up for it. You know where to find me.
it. Yeah, absolutely, man.
So
Absolutely. Man, it's
yeah,
been an absolute pleasure, Pierre. I really appreciate the time you've taken and the time you've given me. And yeah, I look forward to another conversation with you again.
same here. Just let me know when you're ready.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm glad we had this conversation. I'm glad we got the chance to have this discussion. I'm glad you listened to it to the end as well. Steve's story leaves us with a powerful truth that resilience is not just about bouncing back, but bouncing forward into new possibilities. His journey challenges us to live with faith when the path is unclear, to hold on to hope when dreams shift, and to practice resilience every day. I hope that these lessons will inspire us to face our own mountains with courage and conviction. But most importantly, I need you to remember that truly, there is no depth too great for God to reach. There is no situation that is so hopeless that He cannot turn it around. Thank you for staying with us. Bye-bye.